focus on sequential digitalization using Archform. I'll just start off by saying it is not the most practical software out there for these kind of movements, but it is definitely possible. So today's video will just show you how to do it. So we can just take a quick look at the upper final alignment. As you can see, we're distalizing the upper posteriors and retracting the anteriors. Let's quickly take a look at the values. So we'll just click on each tooth and we can see the mesial distal movement. Here is 1.9 millimeters on this tooth, and on this tooth is 3.28 millimeters. So we're going to use the 50-50 protocol in this demonstration. So what we'll do is get the highest value that you have, which is the 3.28 millimeters. Let's go to our calculator. So we can input there, let's just round up to 3.3 millimeters, just divide by 2. So we have 1.65 millimeters that we want to achieve in the first goal. Then we can just divide it by our 0.25 movement in our protocol. In our movements protocol, we have 6.6 aligners. So I'll just round up to 7. So I'm going to set a goal here at step 7, right click and say insert upper and lower goals. So now we'll have that 50% movement on the 7, which is going to be our first movement. So what we need to do after we've set this goal is we're going to have to set all of the teeth, the rest of the movements, to 0. So I'm coming here to the movements table. Well, the movement table that we have per tooth. We don't have an entire movement table with all the teeth. And I'm just going to click each one, each value, and type 0 on my keyboard. We'll have to do this for every single tooth and every single movement. So it can actually be quite time consuming, especially when you're used to the staging, when we see the movements, all of the teeth on the timeline, and we can just drag the movements on the timeline. Archform has a huge advantage for when you're getting started. It's very simple to learn. It's great for very simple cases. When you get to the more complex cases, we just need to think a little bit more about how to approach the staging. We can use the superimposition function here just to double check that we removed all the movements, and we have. So we've moved the second molars 50%, and now we're going to set the next goal at step 14 so that we can finish the movement on the second molars, and we'll just move sequentially like this. So I'm going to remove the superimposition. And what we're going to have to do is now we need to make sure that all the movements that we see here on tooth number 7 are actually going to already be performed in this goal. So we're going to have to copy the movements over that we see here and input them here on step 14. So let's go here. We'll start 0.43 and 3.28. What we want to just see is that after this goal here, we won't be seeing any more movements. Okay, so we'll get back to the 6 in the meantime after we've set everything to 0, everything else to 0. So you're going to watch our number of steps change a lot during this process. We'll just verify everything at the end. So once again, we need to go to our final step, and then let's just make sure we're copying everything. So now we should have the first movements happening. We'll get to the second, we need to adjust them. And just seeing that, and now you probably would have noticed we tried to set the goal at 14 and now it's jumped to 16. So we can perhaps increase the speed here to bring those number of steps down. And there we go, it's to 14. So just getting those first two teeth. So the movement now on the molars is complete on the second molar. You see there's no more movement on them for the rest of the treatment. Now we can skip to the first molars. So let's take a look real quick. We wanted to get half of the methyl distal movements. So let's go to the end. See the final amount was 3.2. So we'll need around 1.6. Let's say 1.7 here. We can just start to increase that. There, that should be good. So let's see. Doing 50% on the second molar, and now we've started the 50% on the first molar. Now we'll just do the same on this tooth. So let's see, was also 1.9, so we can make sure getting around 1 millimeter here. And let's take a look so far. So we have 50% of the movement on the second molars on both sides, and here we're starting the first 50% on the first molars. So we'll just go again, so we can do another 7 steps. Click here, right click, insert upper and lower goals, and we'll just do the same. So we'll have to set all those values to 0 and the rest of the teeth. And now we want to complete the movement on the 6s, so we'll need to once again go to the final. I'll need to copy over those movements over here on this step. Here I'll just be speeding up the movements so we can get through them pretty quick, and the video won't be too boring. Feel free to slow it down and confirm the values as you go. Otherwise, just skip ahead a few minutes to start with the anterior retraction. And finally here, we can start to retract all the anteriors together. So by this point, we can just do our normal staging. We need to just add goals where we notice collisions. So maybe we can do one here. I just want to make sure that we're not getting any interproximal collisions during staging. So we can just change some of the movements around to prevent this. And then probably just add one last goal because I think there may be more interproximal collisions. I like to add a goal closer to the end, so maybe around here. And I will just remove that collision. And we'll just play through it to make sure that we don't have any collisions during the last few steps. And there we go. That's how we do it. So you can see that we increased, I think the original was around 20 steps, and now it is 55 steps to get to this position. So just try to see what works best in terms of your protocol with your doctor, and you can see if that number of steps is worth it for the patient. Otherwise, you can change your protocols to the 30% protocol. Just a matter of deciding what's best for that specific patient. But this is the 50% protocol. Definitely not the most practical to do sequential visualization or visualization on Archform, but this is just to show you that it is possible.